I'm your ice cream man, baby. Stop me when I'm passing by.
We're back.
Harleys.
And
Hair.
spray.
So much hairspray. Mostly on me. Hello, Mr.
Oh
Wasp.
my gosh, the wasp.
We have a special guest interviewee. That's right. And he'll come with stingers time and time again. He really get you with the salient
Tink,
points.
tink, tink, tink.
I've been so emotional lately.
Have you?
I've been listening to country music and crying.
Have you?
And, this guy will sing about meeting a girl in a bar and changing for this girl. And all of a sudden, 17 years go by and your kids leave you. And then you come back and your kids have kids and all of a sudden you're with them in a park. And I'm just crying for 3 minutes in my Jeep. Just sitting and listening to country music, which is not typically what I do. Crying, which I'm becoming more and more used to, and so now it's typically what I do. And just so emotional. I've never been more emotional in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a male menopause?
Psychologically, I think, yeah. Yeah, because my body still works well. Big, gross wink. It works well. I could still, still do a bicep curl. But yes, I think...
And I'm not being like snippy, dumb, stupid over here, but because there are hormonal changes. There's acceptance of shifts from this to that. Like, it's a stage of life.
Big transitions, maybe the biggest ever. And so you start redefining yourself and reevaluating what your life means and who you are without your children in your daily life. Who am I? Because I've been this for so long, for such a long chapter, and it's been incredible. Who am I now? And it'll just take a 3-minute country song, and I am bawling my eyes out. So I think, yeah, transitions and the male readjustment, the human condition.
So
Yeah.
Let's jump into this country song or country songs. Tell me about country songs and tell me about what you think. Like, what do you think's the unlock there? Because the music was the catalyst. The life is just what's happening. Your emotion is just what's already there anyway. So it is the country song that unlocked it.
Yeah, and it's not really the genre country necessarily, but Nashville songwriters have a way of just looking here in the ether and picking it out of nowhere and giving you something that you should have said but didn't find a way to. They have a way of taking exactly what you're feeling and what you can relate to, taking it out of the ether. It was always there, but you couldn't quite grasp it and bring it to the masses.
God, I love that. The things that you should have said but couldn't quite get there. You are so right, because they're really obvious things that are said, but they don't feel obvious. They feel richer than that. Because
and there's a million examples, and
wow.
in Miami it's all about doom chiku cha doom chiku, let's dance and party. LA has its own movement as well of many genres, but in Nashville the music is simple, the musicianship is exceptional, but finding that and everybody relates to it.
Yeah.
For example, the Taylor Swift, "Are We Out of the Woods?" We hear that title.
Yeah.
You know exactly.
Yeah.
Are you out of the storm that was your divorce?
Right.
Are you out of the storm that was healing after surgery?
Right.
Are you out of the storm of an accident? Are you out of the storm of exam week? Are we out of the woods? Whatever that is for you. And something about those Nashville writers, and all good writers, in fact, they just go, it's hanging right above you, but you can't see it. It's a dog frequency that only a dog can hear. It's a place that only a great seasoned Nashville writer can go or just a great writer can go and pick it out and say to the world, this is for you, because I know you're feeling it. You just couldn't find a way to compartmentalize it in a phrase.
This is for you because I know you're feeling it. Ha.
And that's why I've been listening to country music, because 9 out of 10 times they do that.
Wow.
In a way that R&B necessarily, or Latin or whatever, there it's more about a mood, a vibe, but the lyric doesn't come first. Here it's the ether. I'm going into the ether, and I'm going to write to you.
Wow.
From the perspective of a beer. The beer is going to write you a love letter about how it's going to save you or numb you or be your best friend when every other friend is gone. The beer is writing you a love letter, and the song's just beer. And on the surface, you're like, beer? Really? Today we're talking about beer? Oh no. We're talking about your one reliable, true companion who's always going to be there with you through thick and thin. And it's even writing you a love letter. Sincerely, beer.
And it's going to make you cry.
And it's going to make you cry when it's the last thing you expected. Jesus Take the Wheel, the first time I saw that title, I'm like, well, I'm agnostic, bordering on atheism. I'm very practical. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then you hear this, and you hear Carrie Underwood's delivery, and then you realize we're not big enough for the battles of life sometimes, and we just need to give in and give up and hope that there's a bigger power at work that will nurture us and take care of us. And because today I don't have the strength to deal with this. I just don't, because I deal with it 300 other days. And then you hear Jesus Take the Wheel, and you're like, thank you, Gordy Sampson, and the other 2 writers involved with that song. Canadian, and the other 2 writers that were able to go into the ether and pick it out and give it to all of us, because we can all relate, but we can't all get there. And that is a perfect match to my emotional chapter. Country music and my current emotional chapter.
Yeah.
Marriage made in heaven.
So I'm just playing with it now. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean for us? What does that mean? What does that mean for someone who's not going to write country music? Like, what can we pull from this? What sort of landing for me? I mean, I can go to my skill set. That's easy to do because I'm a Gen Xer that wants to be good at everything. So already my brain's going, okay, so here's the assignment. Pull it out of the ether. Learn how to say less, but say just the right thing. Okay, so I have that going on because I'm wired that way.
Yes. But
then I'm also, the other thing that's really present for me is that feeling, if you're not a songwriter, it's just the feeling of noticing, wow, okay, here's the visual for me. It's like there's a raindrop. And when you went to the ether, I was like, what's nestling right here? What is that? And what comes to mind now as I think about the dinner table conversations where you're right on the verge of having a really awesome conversation, but no one quite goes there.
Sorry, I've been in the elevator with 3 other people all looking at the floor.
Right?
Right.
Like, so that I can because it doesn't have to be, here's where I'm going with this. Sometimes the really deep, hard conversation is the obvious one. We're like, oh, we're all avoiding that, looking at the floor in the elevator. But there's also really subtle, lovely conversations that are connected and connective, and they're not so deep. But maybe we're not having those either because we don't know how to get there. That's where I'm going with this in life. We
don't know how to get there, or we choose to not take that path?
Yeah, I would say that many of us have lost, like, it's a muscle, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. We've lost that muscle, but it doesn't mean we can't get it. Because we all knew how to do it as kids. We all knew how to do it as kids. We all knew how to point to the thing that we can see in the room and name it and love it and feel it and kiss it and hug it and squeeze it. We all knew how to do that. We all knew how to pick up a dandelion and blow it just because you want to and feel.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think we've got it in us, but it is a practice. Like what? So I go, okay, in life then, what does that feel like? If you're in a conversation, or maybe not even, you might just be just you in a moment, and you can feel like just a heightened sense of yourself. It's just that little bit of heightened sense. Follow that feeling. Follow that feeling, because there's an impulse there to do something, to say something, to share something, to see something, but there's something that will come out of that. Follow that heightened sense and act on it.
And the cool thing is, if you do that, you'll notice that heightened sense waking up with greater frequency. And then it'll become a muscle you can work out in the gym, in your emotional gym, your spiritual gym. And that may become the norm more than the exception, which is a glorious place to get to.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say that's what artists do.
They go to the ether, because that's a vessel you ride into the ether, right? And if you can't, or if you don't know how, and if you need a template, hang out with people that do that regularly. Hang out with those people, because they behave differently.
And where are those people?
Here.
Hang out with us, yeah.
No, but they behave differently. I think those people that truly have given over their heart for art's sake to art, those are the people that speak that language. They're the people that walk on the outskirts of society.
I have a word.
Go.
It's the people in your life who linger. It's the people who might be the last one to leave the party, and not because they're obnoxious and have nowhere to go. I mean, that happens, but because they want to linger in the moment a little bit longer. They're the people who probably have conversations over dinner. They're the people who still stay in contact with you after all these years.
They're the effort people.
They're the effort people. They put that little bit extra in.
Remember how we were saying we notice the details?
Yeah.
The details are the effort people. They're the extra.
Okay. Yeah.
They're the extra.
Yeah.
And also I see them as, I hear my dog, and his rhythm. I also see it as the difference as those people that sort of, I see people as taking two baths. One group of people bathes in the prosaic, and one group of people bathes in the poetic.
Ooh.
Right? One is just a kind of normal, not really lacking any, not really containing any exceptional beauty, but fine, is great. And then other people, there's, right?
They're in the mud bath of life.
And then when they leave the mud bath of life, they put on some incredible lotion. And not just on places that other people can smell, but they do it for themselves.
Because it feels good.
That's right. And not just the neck and the head where your lover will smell, but everywhere where you know it is, because you have a greater sense of value for life. That's you bathing in the poetic. Everybody else is bathing in the prosaic, and let them. Let them. Because then they're going to be, you know what's in the prosaic bath? Entropy. They just waste away, and their machine doesn't function well. Their machine misfires. So you take a prosaic bath, your bubbles there are entropy bubbles. You take a poetic bath, and the poetic bath are bubbles of inspiration.
You've just turned a prosaic conversation into a poetic one.
Thank you very much.
I love it.
And I'm not even a cunning linguist or a master debater, but think about that.
But you are 14.
But I am clearly in some ways 14. But that's how you find those people. Yeah, the people that linger, the people that make an extra effort, the people, you just sense them.
Yeah.
Right? There's just something different about them.
So that's an assignment for all of you. I love this practice of bathing in the poetic, which, one example you just gave was buy yourself some lotion. Okay. Anyway, but let yourself love yourself.
Yeah.
Buy that extra gooey, yummy thing to eat. Go for that. Walk in the rain for 5 minutes more. Risk getting out of your car when it's not in the garage, and walk into your house. Hang out a little bit longer, in the lunchroom at work, if that's where you are. linger a little bit and see what happens.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
And it's a practice to give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah. Because it can feel awkward.
Yes. So get out of your own way. Get over yourself. Let yourself be cheesy and corny and awkward and vulnerable and all the things. But give yourself permission to enjoy the full rainbow of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what it means to be. You don't need to be an artist to do that. You just need to get into the practice of giving yourself permission to bathe in the poetic rather than the prosaic. Don't be normal. Don't be everyday. Don't be pedantic. Don't just go for something extra.
You and your alliteration.
The P's, right?
Prosaic,
poetic. That's right. And reach out. This is not a P word. I'll see if I can convert it, but. Reach out into the ether the way the country writers do, right? And make yourself touch something higher that really reflects how you feel. Let yourself cry. Let yourself laugh. Let yourself... I remember being in front of a classroom, and we did this activity where it was just a laughing circle. Everybody was kind of like, it was 2 p.m, people were dopey and nappy, and you know how we all are at 2 p.m. We need a little siesta. But in the West, we fight it, and we work through it. And so I decided to have a class that was a laugh circle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't know it, and I just started laughing for absolutely no reason. And about 10 seconds later, people were kind of finding the fact that I was laughing funny. And then they started snickering. And then they looked around, and everybody was kind of snickering, which turned into laughter. And so within a couple of minutes, everybody was laughing for no reason other than your neighbors laughing. And you can't believe how silly this is. Everybody's engaged, everybody's laughing, and there's no purpose. Oh, but there is. Because to give yourself permission to be that free and be that unorthodox in your conduct and do something that you don't typically do, that's glorious. And it's the sense of emancipation that comes with that is fantastic. So emancipation, ether, there's our alliteration. So, just...
Oh my God, did we really just go from Nashville to emancipation?
One of the best Prince records.
Wow.
A 3-album Prince record. Wow. Emancipate, check it out. So, what do you think of that?
Boom, you nailed it.
Prosaic versus the poetic.
Wow.
Go have a bath, y'all.